All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is Jillian. And the Jilly Juice world is all about strategy. Okay? Once you release the demons, once you finally face your demons, you feed them, you release them, you do some major changes. I'm going to tell you, you will be so strategic in whatever you need to be strategic in to get to your goal, whatever it is. And the goal is not to be destructive to anybody else. The goal is not to be destructive to yourself. The goal is not to be destructive to anyone. Okay? When you finally release the demons in the J world, you will be so strategic. And so I have been exhibiting some major strategy through the evolution. And you've seen that the last 7 years. You saw the evolution of the Jilly Juice protocol. You saw the evolution of even my delivery system as far as the information. You saw my evolution even in my books. I mean, you know how many books I've invested in that even my community has invested in? Okay, you guys invested in so much in this strategy for humanity. And so that's another reason why my book is really cheap as far as the ebook, because a lot of you have invested so much and you deserve to have something that's $5, even if it's an ebook. Okay. And so that's why it's like, this is not really a money-making venture. This is more for my own personal development, professional development, and how we can revolutionize medicine, because we cannot demonize doctors. We're going to fucking need them. We're going to need the doctors. Okay. Because they've encouraged us, who the system of doctors, the system, just the overall system, encourage us to have families. So many families, so many children. The system encouraged us to have so many remedies, surgeries, so many different experimental therapies. Why? Because they brought us in at a major deficiency. Rampant reproduction on bodies in deficit for generations. Not only take away so much substance from the mother, but that child is also in deficit, and they will have a world of hurt ahead of them when the environment changes and people don't change their traditions. Okay? And so what I have now finally figured out, even though, this book doesn't go too much in the solution. This is my solution. This is what works for me. But what works for me could work for certain people. And I couldn't figure out how I was going to help those that were under a doctor's care. Because I haven't been under a doctor's care in fucking years. Okay? I don't think I've ever really been under a doctor's care ever since I was like a kid under my parents' household. And so this was made for more of the independent people, but this also could be given to a doctor. So we have doctors on one hand that will take away your life. They'll do oncology, they'll do the surgeries, cause trauma to you, give you all the pharmaceuticals, or give you a holistic or homeopathic remedy. Because you know that there's naturopathic doctors out there that play the same game. Okay, so on one hand, there's going to be the death culture, the holistic remedy people, all the energy healing people, and the oncologists, the surgeons, all the different specialists that you see in a hospital system. Okay, there's going to be another ward, another wing of the hospital system. I don't know if it'll be in the same hospital system or if it's going to be something grassroots, a little building somewhere off the side that's going to then say, okay, we are now going to give life back to those who are willing to go through the process of the suffering. Because I'll tell you, the whole Hippocratic oath of do no harm, it's all relative to how you perceive what harm is. They have made pain inside your body because of what they did to MK Ultra externally. They've made pain to be the fucking demon. They never taught you how to deal with pain and release the demons and feed your body. They taught you only how to take away pain, run away from it, be under the influence. And so a very discerning doctor who understands the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, don't cut into someone. I don't care if they're under anesthesia or not. You don't put a machine in someone because that's doing harm to somebody. You don't take an antibiotic against a life in the body. Okay, that's doing harm to people. That's how you can perceive it. Remember, we can perceive things in 2 different ways, 3 different ways, depending on how the argument is set up. But you could perceive what the surgeons do and what the therapists do with even the public health therapies as doing harm to somebody. Because you are impaling somebody, whether it's microscopic needle or whether it's a scalpel or whether it's some other machine that is doing so much of the scanning of your body, invading your cells. That's also doing harm to people. But we've accepted it for so many years that we don't blink an eye. We think that dealing with pain is doing harm. That's the depopulation agenda. So now there's going to take a doctor, an evolutionary and revolutionary doctor, to understand why the system did what it did on that end because of slavery, because of the Rosicrucian side of it, the Egyptian slaves, right? Remember Exodus, and and how do they keep the slaves going back on the job right away? It's all the cures, the surgeries, the recovery time, the different remedies. And then, of course, how do you develop diversity? Well, you add more antibiotics to a person's intake. You do more trauma to them. They're going to be dropping babies left and right. Fertility. Again, fertility comes from trauma. It comes from someone who is not whole, but is alive, but they are not only encouraging more trauma in the medical system and the holistic system, but their lifestyle, because of the work that we do, the people that we're hanging out with, and our lifestyles develop more trauma, and then all the diseases because of all the therapies and all the different lifestyles that develop more trauma. And so then you have people burying babies left and right, generation after generation, and it's encouraged even in religions. Well, you saw 19 and counting. You know, the Mormon religion, even the Catholic religion, is all about having so many babies. And then the high-risk pregnancies are telling you that this person has so many deficits, could they really afford to have a kid? And if they do have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, what's that mother going to end up with? Suffering. What are these kids going to end up with? Eventual suffering. Okay, and then, so you have the high-risk pregnancies. And there's something else I was going to say about pregnancy, but I forget what it was. I was on the tip of my tongue. And so, yeah, the high-risk pregnancies develop that. And then, of course, all the different diseases. All the different diseases, because everyone's coming in at a deficit. Because that's what pregnancy is someone in deficit. There was trauma, and then this is the new representation of the trauma. All right? And so the strategy of the J world is not to demonize the doctors, because we're going to need them. But we need for them to take care of the old world, those that don't want to deal with pain, those that don't want to ever face their demons, those that are still stuck in the traditional ways. You have to still cater to them. That's the old world. And then there's the new world, where those who are saying, okay, I'm willing to face the pain. I don't have as many predisposed issues. I don't want to have any kids because I want to save myself. Those that are not being forced into marriage, being forced into a relationship, being forced into sexualization, or anything else that is with the old world. And so that was me. Believe me, I mean, I if I had a kid now, I wouldn't be doing the J world. We wouldn't see immortality. So the fact that I didn't have a kid, okay, saved my ass, because I was already deficient on so many levels. That's why my PMS was so bad for so many years. Finally, with the J world and releasing the demons and then becoming whole again, eating all food in the food supply, I've brought back all the substance that I was missing, and I released all the different traumas. Okay? And so the J world is for now people who are like, okay, I'm not buying into all of that old world stuff. I want to save myself. If I have children, or someone says if I have children, well, I hope that whatever I do, they will figure it out. And we can have a doctor help these kids. And so that's the thing, is it's going to take a slew of doctors, because you see one doctor that takes this on, that will help people get their life back. Do you know how many people would come to them, especially with this J world stuff? Because it's not that hard when you think about it. All you need is someone to tell you you're not going to fucking die from a symptom. But when you have some doctors say you're going to die from a symptom, you see how people are in fear and they're taking their drugs and getting their surgeries? But you have one doctor who goes, you know what, you're not going to die from a symptom. We just need to keep you fed, release those demons. You have a bunch of shit in your system. It needs to come out. It has to come out progressively. You can't just take it all out at once. And they watch you through that process. They help you. They have nurses. They have other attendants to help you through that process. Someone's on call to help you through, talking you through that situation, so you feel supported during that process, getting your life back. Yeah, it couldn't be one doctor that does this. It would have to be a bunch of doctors in a huge setting that will allow people to be inpatient and outpatient. Not everybody needs to be inpatient to deal with getting their life back. But sometimes people do have predisposed issues that they get scared of heart attacks and strokes. They get scared of respiratory situations. When I was coughing so bad a couple years ago, I'll tell you, some people get scared of that, coughing so hard, but I was getting the fucking demon out. I was mean. I had the desire to live to where didn't care how hard I coughed. I didn't care how much it hurt. I had to get whatever that was in my system out. And that's what it's been like now, the last few days. I didn't really have to cough. I sneezed a few times, but it was the blowing of my nose is what was helping me. It was the blowing of my nose. Because I conditioned myself to open up my system to release those demons. So it didn't turn into an aggressive cough. It didn't turn into something where I felt like I was underwater all the time. It didn't turn into some diagnosable condition. Okay, so let me just read this. So you see what's going on here. Having babies, getting remedies from the holistic world and surgeries and the food mitigation because of fear breaks the body down, causing the need for therapies, remedies, and surgeries. So it's a deadly loop that people are in. It's a major deadly loop. When you are buying into the medical holistic system, energy healing people, and food mitigation, trying to cure yourself, even using Jade juice. Jade juice is not poison, but when you're trying to cure yourself so you don't feel the evolution of releasing the demons, you're just holding the demons in, just like the Vampire Diaries, the salt boundaries. Okay, when you cure yourself, put a salt boundary around your symptoms, you're holding it inside. You're not allowing it to be released. You see, again, these allegories tell you a message about the use of certain elements. You can't abuse it, but people in the religious world abuse the elements and justify it through their religion. You can't play that game anymore because I've showed you the other side of it, that Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's wife turned to a pillar of salt because she was abusing her exposure to salt. Okay? So there's definitely religious stories that will balance both sides, and whatever side you want to stand on, you're going to use to justify your position. But salt is not to be used as a cure. Salt is to be used as in your food and help you gain the substance and then give your body electrolytes to release the demons without doing so many fucking waterfalls. We had to do the waterfalls in the beginning because we didn't have an activated environment like we have right now. Right now, this environment, when the climate shifts again, it's like taking a quart of jelly juice because people will have instability, they will be communicable, and they'll release demons. All right? And so don't ever abuse the jelly juice. Use it a few times, release the demons, and then salt in and drink some milk and cream and eat food and pull out the shit and deal with every single symptom. And if it's that bad, go see a doctor to help you through that process and tell them what you're doing. And say, hey, here's this. I don't want too many antibiotics and don't recommend a surgery to me. But this is what I want to be able to do, like this. Help me do this, doctor. And so I had to figure out how I could hold the doctors accountable without demonizing them. I saw one glimmer of hope in the Cleveland Clinic when they were using a protein, the proteins, like the peanut proteins, to help somebody get over an allergy. And the person was allergic to introduce the food in small doses. And they dealt with what the symptoms as they came up. I hope they didn't treat them. And so now if you want to get your life back, longevity, immortality, and you have many predisposed issues, it will take a doctor to help you get through that. Because they caused you to be there in the first place. The doctors, the nurses, I'm going to be honest. I'm not demonizing them, but they just did what they were told, okay? They were just following orders. Don't get mad at them. They were just following orders. Even the holistic people with the herbs and the extracts and the tinctures did this to people because it caused antibiotic resistance, it caused more offspring to then demonize or more offspring to be all crazy in the body, causing more diseases. And people weren't releasing because they're taking things to stop their body from releasing. Hold on. And so, it will take a doctor to help you get through all of that, because they caused you to be there in the first place. They can pull your ass out of the grave, and no holistic professional, I don't care who they are, will ever be able to help to do what a doctor can do and did to you and what they could undo. So there is no holistic professional that can undo what a doctor did to you. Because I'll tell you, holistic professionals, they just compound what doctors did, because people go into the allopathic world thinking they're going to get all these different cures and surgeries, and it doesn't work. And so what do? They switch to the holistic stuff. And so all the holistic people do is just give them more herbs, more extracts, more playing with the breathing shit and doing meditation and yoga stuff. But the person is still deficient. They're still at a major deficit, and they're still doing food mitigation, because you see these holistic people who are like, don't eat this food, don't eat that food. This poison, this poison, this poison. Everything has to be organic. And so then the doctors are the ones that have to go and pull that person out of that grave, because they chased that person away from the medical system to begin with. So now it's up to the doctors and the nurses to bring people back and save their fucking life. Literally save their life, but it's going to take the patient to be the one to hold their asses accountable. Not be mean to them, but say, here, you guys did all this shit to me with your remedies, your surgeries, and all your antibiotics and all your machines, so I wasn't conditioned to be able to do it myself. This chick did it herself. And what's the answer? It's food. What's the answer? Getting over food allergies. What's the answer? Releasing the fucking demons without relying on machines. Condition the body to open up over here and open up down there, and you don't need to have some instrument like an enema all the time unless you are obese, and then you may have to have a doctor help you do that shit. Literally, or a nurse or some attendant that's in that actual pro-life field. Okay? That's what I'm saying. The whole revolutionary medicine in the J world will be a tiny little fucking building on the side of a big, huge hospital, because the hospital system has the order of operations. From birth, circumcision, all that trauma to the penis. So that boy is going to have to get over some shit, literally. And the girls, whatever. All the way from the NICU, the nursery, the labor and maternity, all the way down to the fucking morgue, as you hit all the different specialist floors. GI, the GI clinic, ambulatory surgery. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the floors when I used to work as a candy striper or a hospital volunteer in San Jose. But yeah, you'll hit all these different floors, and then you end up in the fucking morgue. And so the death culture is going to be a huge building of like 32 floors. And then the life culture, the literal life culture, would be a tiny little fucking building with maybe like 10 or 15 doctors are collaborating to help people save their fucking life, and watch them through that process and help them through and encourage them and reassure them that they're going to be okay. How many doctors do that now? They don't. They don't. I swear to God, they don't. They tell you, here, do a steroid shot. Here, do a surgery. Here's a prescription drug. Here, take away this food from you. And then you look at the nursing homes. This is the end result of the hospital system, is the fucking nursing homes. They have all this food, but it's not doing shit for them, or they wouldn't be in a nursing home to begin with. And so there's going to be people who right now who are dealing with all this stuff going on in this environment, and they're going to be radicalized. They're going to be going through some shit. And I'll tell you, I don't want to get involved in anyone's personal stuff. I'm not trying to help anyone through the process personally. I don't do any of that. I can't. I've done that before. It bit me in the ass. I tried to help a bunch of people way back in the beginning of the J World when I had that 60,000 person group. I got attacked like you wouldn't believe, and people were not reading the files. And so then I started charging for my services for just talking about, because I was repeating myself. And then even that bit me in the ass. And so I stopped doing that. I stopped charging. Then I developed a book. Okay? I developed a book. And so people read the book and they still had issues and questions. And I'm like, you know what? I wrote another book. And then another book. And then I end up finally writing this book. And now you need all food in the food supply. Now you have to deal with the pain. If the pain is that bad and it's that scary, then go see a doctor and help you through it. But now I'll give you an extra thing to do with your doctor. Tell them about this and tell them to stop prescribing you fucking antibiotics and oncology. Okay? And so I say, just FYI, I don't answer any questions because I'm not trying to personally manage anyone's issues. Feel free to get the electronic book for a few dollars on Amazon or Kindle. Or buy the book, listen to my videos and see where I'm coming from. Then please talk to your doctor and read my posts. Because your doctor, again, is going to pull your ass out of the grave or they're going to put your ass in the grave. Because you're giving them that power to do that. When you don't have a doctor at all, then you're going to go find somebody on Facebook or some local herbalist that's going to take away your life systematically. And it'll be okay because it's all FDA approved. But then you use so much of it and you become even more decrepit, more at a deficit, aging out, but you don't feel anything, right? Because you're under the influence. Then you have to go right back to the hospice system, the palliative care system. And so then the holistic world takes your ass right back down to the medical world. And then you die in the system. We don't want you to end up that way. But again, you're going to have to ask your doctor to give you back your life or take it away. Now you have two choices. And so that strategy of the J world is realizing that the solution came from the problem to fucking begin with. The solution came to the problem. It came from the problem. You have to go to the problem to get that solution. And so the whole J world, you realize that you're the problem. And so now we have to look inward. When we're seeing, oh, everyone's the demon out there, there's some enemy out there, you have to go and demonize and blame. Then you realize, really, where did the problem originate? It was you. It was me. I had so many deficiencies. I didn't know my ass in from whatever. I had to study everything. Finally, took myself incrementally out of the activist world. I stopped blaming other people for stuff, taking personal responsibility for everything that I'm doing. And now I am completely responsible for my life. I don't depend upon anyone around the whole J world. I don't. All I do is try to give you guys some clue on where the problem resides. It's within you, if you can even face that. And then you're going to realize the problem as far as your health and wellness was from the doctor system to begin with. So you have to go back there again and take the issue to them. Because obviously, you know, I can't help you get over your major issues. I'm not going to babysit you through your heart attacks and strokes that are necessary so the body can pump all that bullshit through your system so it can release the demons. And so you're going to have a doctor walk you through that shit and help you through it. And I'm telling you, the system is doing it a little bit. It's going to take a doctor to go to Rockefeller Medicine and say, okay, or it's going to take the patients putting pressure on the doctor system. Because the doctors ain't going to do shit unless the patients request it. Again, holistic professionals don't have the power to do anything like that. They don't have that kind of infrastructure. They don't have it. It's going to be the patient to that fucking doctor or group of doctors, to Rockefeller Medicine, to the American Medical Association. It's going to take the patients to go and revolutionize medicine. I can only suggest. But when you keep asking for death, you keep asking for oncology, you keep asking for prescription drugs and more surgeries, you're going to get more diseases. You keep asking for more therapies, you will get more diseases. The system will grant your every wish, but you got to know what kind of wishes you're wanting to be granted. And when you ask for a doctor to take away your pain, you're asking them to take away your life. Be careful what you wish for. So it's up to your doctor to help you live or help you pass away. All right? But you must develop a case or an argument. And my book is the best platform to use because it's something tangible. And you can place all the blame on me, but not really. You're not really placing blame on me. You're saying, hey, she has something here. Remember, whatever the doctors do to you, they can undo. With food, effective release outlined in my book, and characterizing symptoms in an unbiased way. They can say, yeah, when this person is 90 years old and they weigh like 80 pounds, 60 pounds, they're not going to be able to really deal with a heart attack or stroke, and we're going to be afraid. I mean, it's going to take a lot of resources to hook up somebody who's 80 or 90 years old and get them back onto life again. That's a lot of resources. That's a lot of probably intravenous and helping the system condition itself to deal with taking on the pressure and the energy conversion of processing food and repairing the cell structures that were damaged for so many years. And so it may not be lucrative for someone who is 90 years old. Okay? And so they're going to have to say, well, you're 40 or 50 years old. You could probably handle this. You might, and some doctors won't want to take on someone who is that behind the eight ball. You see what these doctors deal with when people have issues and they're trying to take away their pain and it doesn't work? Imagine when they're trying to bring the pain back and you have to feed the body and the person is like trying to fight you. I'll tell you, when I was helping people and I was trying to tell them, okay, well, you got to get this, or, get a bed that helps you sit up so you don't feel like you're drowning. And I was trying to figure out how the system can help them through this process of getting on board and how they can ask the system. And they're in palliative care or hospice. They just kept fighting me on everything. They couldn't eat certain foods and all this other shit. And I'm just like, I was way out of my league. I mean, when the patients fight the doctors, then there's what can a doctor do? You can't force someone to eat food. You can't force someone to feel pain. And so it's going to take a person who's saying, I'm willing to eat all food. I'm willing to feel all pain. I just want you to make sure that I'm okay during this process, doctor. And I want you to reassure me. And I want you to make sure that you cover all bases. And I'm not going to fight you. But as long as you are giving me the food and making sure that I'm good and doing the tests so I feel good and you feel good, everything is okay. And so that's the thing. So I don't see doctors taking on someone to save their life if the patient doesn't have at least 90% of the responsibility of taking personal accountability. And that's a lot of resources for the hospital system to bring people back to life that they have taken away their life for so many years. That's what I'm saying. The death system the death hospitals are going to be like big, huge buildings like they are. And the life clinics are going to be small ones that are going to take on only a few people at a time. And so either you do it on your own or you wait, you're on a waiting list and maybe you survive during that waiting time or you don't. Or you just check yourself into the death clinic and they'll just take away your life. And you'll be happy because you'll be under the influence until you can't be. That's what people are facing. It sucks. But that's the J world revolutionizing medicine. And so remember, what the doctors did to you, they can undo with food, effective release, outlined in my book, and characterizing symptoms in an unbiased way. But you must understand where I'm coming from. And so the ultimate outcome, never ever to have to see a doctor or a nurse or a holistic person ever again, and never ever use a remedy against your evolution. You're not going to use a shaman, you're not going to use a herb, you're not going to want to even do drugs recreationally, because why? Why do you need to do drugs recreationally? People do drugs recreationally because they're trying to escape from whatever they're suffering from, and then it turns into something habitual. Then their recreational drugs become something that happens every single weekend, every single night, every single day, just like drinking and alcohol. People are suffering so much, they're trying to stay under the influence. Oh, I understand the addiction. All right. And so the ultimate outcome, never ever have to see a doctor, a nurse, or a holistic person ever again, and never ever use a remedy against your evolution, or you'll be right back where you were before, suffering exponentially. Okay. Just look, you can throw a rock and you'll hit a house that a person is suffering from some kind of condition. Okay. Whether taking a prescription drug or illicit drug, they're suffering and you feel bad, but you can't do anything about it. You can't get them. You can't help them. There's nothing you can do. They have to help themselves. They have to look within. Doctors should only be used for triage accidents. And then you become a whole person with food and dealing with the pain at home. You also must release damaged cells, not cure them. So what are doctors' roles are going to be? Again, it's going to be either, there's going to be the life doctors and the death doctors and the triage doctors. So it'll be 3 different types of doctors. Okay? Because we still have to siphon out the old world who are too far gone, that are so traditional they can't change, and so they're going to have to be in the death system, the death culture. And so there's going to be the death doctors, and then the life doctors, and then the triage doctors. So when you get an accident and you get decapitated and they know how to go and reattach your head, hey, that's great. And then you go home and you deal with the pain of the body repairing itself and releasing the damaged cells. Okay? And so doctors should only be used for triage accidents. Or again, 3 different doctors. And then you become a whole person with food and dealing with pain at home. You also must release damaged cells, not cure them. But never to manage disease. This is all really in the future because we're going to have a transition. Okay? Disease wouldn't happen if we hadn't had the doctors and nurses and holistic people giving you remedies to begin with. And so, yeah, as far as I'm going to skip that. I already said it. You know, I don't grow any food in my garden because I just get whatever the system has. Because growing your food in the garden, you're not going to yield what you really need when you think about it. And even if you do yield what you need, it's a lot of work, and then you still need all the extra elements that are in the processed food. Processed food is not bad at all. You just have to know that it's all nutrition. But you need the processed food out there. These 1 or 2 ingredients, this organic shit's not going to cut it in this environment. What saved me was the processed food. The milk, the meat, the cheese, the eggs, the juices. During this last energy frequency since July 4th, because I know every single major holiday, they're going to have, the frequencies are going to be insane. But what saved me when I fell, when I slipped on the pine sol on the floor, what saved me was the milk and the meat because it reinforced my ankle, my bones. I could have broken an ankle. I could have retore an ankle. I could have broken a hip. But guess what? Me eating what I've been eating, all the food in the food supply, I could fall and not be afraid I'm going to break something. Right now, people are afraid to fall. They have to be very careful because they might break something. They already broke a bone. And if they fall again, they might break another bone. They get osteoporosis because of muscle wasting and bone wasting from a very aggressive environment. That's why you have to eat all food in the food supply. You can't play this organic, gluten-free, sugar-free, meat-free, milk-free, fucking food-free diet. You can't subsist on that. It's going to destroy you. And so now let's look at the Hippocratic Oath. Oh yeah, the J world is going to revolutionize medicine on such a level. I'm going to introduce change and we'll see it. I'm going to give you guys the power to get your life back. You as the patient paying your insurance premiums. When you're paying $5,000 as a deductible for some of these insurance companies, what the fuck are you getting out of that? You're getting your life taken away. If you're going to pay $5,000 every year for a deductible, the doctors and the nurses and that system better be giving you your life back, not taking it away. But again, the medical system right now is all occupational medicine. Why is it all occupational medicine? Because it's trying to get you back to work as quick as possible. That was, again, the Rosicrucian. That was Imhotep trying to get the slaves back onto the job of pulling those square blocks to build up the pyramids, if I'm going to break it down to the most basic. That was Imhotep's intention, the chancellor of Egypt back when Dozier was the pharaoh. He developed the architecture, the math, and the surgeries and the remedies. He was the first physician. And what was it? It was occupational medicine. Why would he do that? Why would he care about those people? Why does anyone care about anyone back then, right? The reason why they cared about the people of getting them all fixed up, temporarily cured, was so they can go back to work. If you didn't have an investment in someone, you wouldn't give a shit if you were going to take care of them. Okay? Imhotep was not a benevolent. He wasn't benevolent. He wasn't benevolent. Yeah, people are suffering. You want to help their suffering. But then you had to have something organized, right? And what was organized? Well, when you have people are not working, not paying their way through life, not producing, taking more from the system. Well, what's stopping them? Oh, mental illness. Oh, a physical illness. Oh, a disease. Oh, an injury. But why would anyone care about people out there unless they had some kind of investment in them? Right? Because either they get money, right? Well, either way, yeah, money. You either have a slave that's relatively working, and so they're doing their job, you get money from them, or they're going to pay you to give them that temporary cure. And so I studied Greek mythology. I studied Rosicrucian stuff. Yeah, that's why I wrote this book. It has some of it in it. I studied a lot. I didn't put a lot of stuff that I studied in this book because, I mean, what direction I was going to take it from. But I understand the Greek system. I understand the Greek system and the college system, the hazing and all the different sororities and fraternities and all that loyalty shit. And you're like, oh, look, it's my sister. Oh, it's my brother fraternity. Oh, it's my sister in the sorority. And then all the cliques and all that shit. So I understand the Greek system. And I understand even the hermetics. I understand even the symbols and all of that. And a lot of them are the Greek gods that developed these symbols and then became the symbols in medicine. And so let's look at the Hippocratic Oath. Remember, Hippocrates, hypocrite, understanding both sides, right? But not really. But how they perceived it, understanding both sides, as far as Hippocrates, is that the time of life that you have is called life until they end your life. But what about indefinite life? Indefinitely. And then we understand indefinite death because that's right now what's going on. The medical system is about giving you a certain amount of life, programming you, and then when you start glitching and your programming wears down, then they take away your life systematically as humanely as possible. So now, when the outcome is death, how could the current medical practices could possibly mean do no harm? The Hippocratic Oath. Trauma under the influence and trauma not under the influence is still trauma and it's still harmful. Okay? So understand that. Trauma under the influence or not under the influence is still harmful. Injections, surgeries, and using machines on people and or applying them with antibiotics, natural or synthetic, is doing harm to the patient. Sustaining food intolerances via food mitigation is doing harm to the patient, also known as starvation. And you see mothers do that to their children. Look at the nursing homes if you want to see the outcome of all that intention. The nursing homes are the proof of the starvation and the destruction of the body throughout that person's lifetime until the person cannot undergo any more treatments and they are deemed untouchable. And there is no energy conversion, whether it's monetarily or even through the therapies or treatments. And so then they're in hospice and palliative care, or palliative care and then hospice. And so that's the medical system's absolution. Diagnosis to a doctor or a mental health professional is an absolution. So that way no one knows what they've done to people. And when the person passes away or they're diagnosed, and some people think, oh yeah, they're diagnosed or they're diseased or have mental health issues, then they don't take that person seriously. They don't listen to that person. And so then the medical system and those mental health professionals then are getting absolved of the guilt of what they've done to people. And so death, the morgue, is the absolution for the medical system because then all the secrets die with that person and everything's under HIPAA. And the family, the next of kin, are not going to say anything because either they're embarrassed or it's none of people's business or they're just like, holy shit. They're not going to say anything. The next of kin are not going to say anything. They're going to accept everything and they're going to just leave everything the way it is. Okay? And so know the difference between redemption and absolution. There's a slight difference, but a difference nonetheless. Redemption is the J world. Okay? Doctors can redeem themselves. I don't want it. If I had now the split between a life doctor and a death doctor, you really think you want to be categorized as a death doctor? But that's how you're going to have to deal with these people who are way behind the eight ball. Do you think they're going to want, some will, but others have basically given up. They have given up and think that the only way they're going to get life is through a fucking shot, a steroid shot. That's, okay, so there's going to be people like that you can't speak to them anything about life because they're all about the medical system. But I'll tell you, the doctors can redeem themselves if they finally be able to switch from the death to life. So redemption is the J world, understanding microbial suffering, paying a debt. So look at definition number 2. All right. when it comes to redemption. The action of regaining or gaining possession of something in exchange for payment, a clearing a debt. So all your suffering, releasing the demons, taking on the food that you were afraid of and all that, because it would trigger your body to finally go into an immunological response that you needed, you're going to have to pay. Believe me, I paid a debt for whatever's in my system to cause the hives to give me that migraine headache the other day where I just could hardly barely even get up and all that. I mean, I have stuff in my system, memories from things that I've done to myself or what was done to my genetic line or what my parents have done because of what was done back then. I had to deal with that. I had to redeem myself. I had to face that pain. I fed it. Okay? And I stayed home and I went to sleep. I didn't push myself. I didn't feel like I needed to go and perform for somebody else. I'm taking care of myself. I don't know where these hives come from. I have no, because I had shellfish last night. I had shrimp last night. But I don't have any hives from the shrimp. But who knows where these hives came from? It could be a memory from way back when, potentially from sulfa, anything that a person could have been allergic to, and my body's releasing it. But I'm not going to go test for it. It's not necessary for me to do that. I just got to face the hives, feel the itchies, feel the headache, and have that infection on the back of my neck, like that hump. Feel a little bit stiff like I did, even a little reserved. I went to Best Buy yesterday to take care of something with my computer, and I was seeing the same technician, and I was vastly different than a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, I could tripping over myself just speaking. This last time, yesterday, I was sitting there with the technician. I'm just so calm, cool, and collected. I'm like telling him, I know I'm totally different than I was last time. I could only imagine what he thought last time. I was on some kind of like speed him up drug. But no, I was going through an energy conversion and stuff was waking up in my system. And it was causing so much growth and so much this. Now I'm on the tail end of that because I finally have acclimated and the growth has calmed down. And now it's release and just relative equilibrium until the climate changes again. And we'll see what other memories come up, right? But I'm prepared for it. I'm conditioning myself for it, okay? Oh, God. This is what doctors have to teach people, how to blow their nose. All right, so what's absolution? The absolution is the politics. It's the religion. It's the science and health and wellness, the holistic allopathic surgical system, and the morgue. Absolution is a formal release from guilt, obligation, or punishment. Absolution from the sentence. That's the Catholic religion. When they're going in to do confessional, that's absolution. They just get this whole whatever the priest does. And when the people who are Catholic, I guess, to do this type of thing where it's like the inverted cross, they're just showing that they're the balance. That the whole inverted cross thing is showing that they are sinners. That's what I could take from why they do this stuff. Okay? And so you have the regular cross, like in the Catholic Church, like this, and then the person's like this, as they are balancing out the stuff. And then, yeah, people say, like regular Christians who say they're not Catholics, they're like, I'm a sinner. Well, I guess, yeah, probably so. And you're having so many babies, yes, and you're using prescription drugs and herbal remedies and food mitigation and not changing the way you do stuff. It's a type of sinning against life. And it's not like I'm a puritanical, but there's laws of life and laws of death. And so then how Christians get absolution is that they I don't know, admit whatever wrongdoing or something. I don't know. I'm not a Christian. I couldn't tell you. I don't know how Christians get absolution. I really don't. I mean, I guess doing confessional, but that's Catholic. I don't know how regular Christians or how Hebrews get absolution. Death? Is death your absolution? I guess. Or doing the J juice so much. Because I know, or food mitigation, diets. I guess. And so it is up to the patients to understand what it means to save a life. And that does not mean sending your grandma to the morgue someday. So if grandma's not really up to getting her life back and she's just too far gone, send her to wherever she wants to go. It's up to her to deal with, to her to figure out if she wants to deal with life or not. Okay, but it's up to the patient to understand what it means to save a life. And that does not mean sending your grandma to the morgue someday. In the future, the doctors will have to choose which side of the industry they must work from. They will be literally saving lives. They will be literally saving lives, half of them, okay, and weaning people back onto the food supply, all food supply, and characterizing symptoms in a different way. Or they will encourage patients to practice euthanasia on their whole family via operations, medicine, and using machines. All right? And it's happening right now. People are practicing euthanasia, incremental, progressive euthanasia on their body, mind, and spirit, and even their children's body, mind, and spirit. Because that's all the operations, taking out tonsils. That's taking away the child's ability to defend itself when you're taking out tonsils. I would not want to be in the holistic medical field this day and age. So either doctors will redeem themselves or use the holistic world to finish off their patients. And that's what's going on. When people get tired of the medical world, they go into the holistic world. And so then all these holistic professionals think oh yeah, we just struck gold because everyone's coming from Big Pharma and now they're going to give them the same thing, Big Pharma, in a different way, which is all their herbs and tinctures. And that's what's going on right now during this climate change, is that doctors will either redeem themselves and understand the J world, or they will use the holistic world to finish off their patients because, or the people will just die in the allopathic system, one of the two. And so that's what's going on during this climate change. And so now you know that you need collagen. Not only do you need fat, but you need collagen. You need the meat, the milk, the cheese, the shellfish, the eggs, the fruits, mineral fruits and vegetables, but you need the collagen, the fat, the proteins. Shellfish and pork are great for collagen and meat. Why is it the Semitic religions stay away from shellfish and pork? Definitely not for longevity. So now you have to figure out that whole diet, that kosher diet, who was the one that started it? If it was something started way back 6,000 years ago, somebody had it in for that specific culture. Because they're not going to get the collagen. They're not going to get the necessary nutrients to keep them going. And so foods that are high in collagen, which is basically right here, my face, the tendons, collagen. You need collagen for all of your connectivity. So who was the genius that told the Semitic people not to have pork and not to have shellfish? Somebody had it in for them a long time ago. Maybe now it's time to look at your religions and figure out maybe those religions from way back when were destroying you and they kept you reproducing and dying, staying a slave. Shellfish and pork are great for collagen. Why is it the Semitic religions stay away from shellfish and pork? And don't give me your religious part of it. And understand now, there may be something in it from way back a long time ago that was destroying those populations. Definitely not for longevity. Foods that are high in collagen that you need for connectivity are high protein broths, shellfish, fish, animal skins, chicken, pork, slow cooked meats, short ribs, meats with bones, like blah, 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 okay, and I didn't go into detail on that. And so then I'm looking at those that are lactose intolerant, the Semitic people in certain cultures. The kosher diet is very nutritionally deficient. It really just begs the question, what were these religions, what was their intention with these religions? And you see people wasting away. Muscle wasting in this environment from starvation and traditional lifestyles. So I went into the Diet Suddenly group and someone asked a question, do the people notice their muscles wasting away in this environment, or muscles wasting away, and they think it's from the the VACCINESs. And I'm thinking, you know what? I know exactly why people are muscle wasting, why their bodies are wasting away. Not only are they on the weight loss surgeries and pills and diets, but even if they weren't on them, this environment is so aggressive. And if you already are afraid of milk and you're staying away from meat and cheese and eggs and all that, you're afraid of pork and you're afraid of shellfish, you're not getting the collagen, and all you now are fat and skin, and it's saggy. Yeah, that's what muscle wasting is the collagen. People are not eating the meat and the milk and the cheese and all that because it's painful. It's a food trigger that gives them atopic dermatitis. You see all over Facebook, WebMD, oh, look at the food triggers for these type of diseases. It's dermatological diseases. Yeah. When the food brings up specific hives or dermatological issues, it's the body releasing the demons. And people get so scared, they stop eating the food, so they're starving themselves, and they're taking some kind of substance and stopping the body from releasing, hence push back all of those demons back into the body. And so they are tortured some more. And so, yeah, that's why there's so much muscle wasting and people wasting away. All right? And aging out. And not changing. You see them still have the same fucking conversation on Facebook. They can't change their fucking vocabulary. Sorry, I know. I'm swearing. And so, what did Bruce Lee say? Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for a life that gives you the strength to deal with a difficult one. A very difficult one. And so when I saw that article about that chick who was kidnapped in Hoover, Alabama, I don't know what her story is. She's at home now, so she's back at home, which is good. But did they let her go? Who knows? Because she got so much press. But yeah, I'll go into that in a minute. Sometimes letting people learn their own lessons is a very difficult life. You saving them so you can feel good and feel like a savior does nothing for your humanity. And it really doesn't do anything for you except give you a dopamine release, just like a drug. All right? The hardest lessons I learned, those who need help the most will never, ever learn how to help themselves. Okay, I understand someone need help once in a while, but even that, I don't even need it once in a while. If you need help at all, what is it that you're doing that you need help? Okay, if you can't afford your house and doing stuff to it, why would you go and enslave your friends and family to do shit to your house, right? And so I don't know what people need help with. I mean, if I have a refrigerator that's hard for my husband and I to move it, we can hire somebody or give somebody some money. Hey, I'll give you, $50. Help me move this refrigerator. Oh, but friends don't charge friends. Yeah, well, friends are also hurting their backs for you. Make it worth their while, and they can say no, too, if they have a bad back. All right? And so the hardest lesson I learned is those who need help the most will never, ever learn how to help themselves. So I let authority help them. And that's where it's come down to now, because people need so much help, and people get taken advantage of. I mean, at some point I had to learn on my own. But Jillian, did you get help on your way through the J world? Yeah, and I don't need it anymore. But what about other people? You're going to find everyone will need you. When you think about it, everyone's going to need you. Everyone. There is so much need out there. It's insane. In this environment, everybody needs so much help. And I mean everybody. Do you have what it takes to save the world? What will it cost you? How much danger will you be in saving people? When will people learn to save themselves and help themselves and make different choices? I've helped so many people for so many years. Like I have helped so many people for so many years. It's finally my turn to help myself. And I help people in a different way. I represent what it means to help yourself and save yourself and strategize, asking the system that fucked you to unfuck you. You cannot change the system outside the system, people. You got to realize that now. You got to learn how to play the game, play within the rules, play within the laws, and give it right back to those who fucked you in the first place. Okay? It's the system of professionals that screwed you. So the system of professionals that screwed you, then you go and ask them to unscrew you. You don't ask somebody outside the system to help you get unscrewed because they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They're doing the same thing that the system did. Because that was the alternative mainstream media that you were forced to go into, and you thought that this was horrible, so you went into this. What is this? Allopathic to holistic. And so I represent what it means to help yourself and save yourself. And I also give clues on what you could use in your arsenal to save yourself and ask the system to help save you. Remember, you didn't get to this point needing to be saved by yourself. The system helped you become very dependent and extremely deficient. It's time you ask the system to help you get your life back so you can help yourself. so you don't have to depend upon a good Samaritan to keep you alive, and you don't have to be a good Samaritan to feel good about yourself. Okay, and so that girl that was kidnapped because she wanted to save that child, well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. See, here's part of my paranoid part of me was thinking like, oh, was that the system purposely putting out a child to see who was going to stop by and pick up that child, and then somebody developed somebody to go and get kidnapped. Maybe she was an actor. Who the fuck knows, right? Or it was like a half acting, half organic situation. And so who knows? All right. But when you see something like a child out there in the middle of the freeway, okay, you need to call the police. But as soon as you stop, as soon as you do something, whether it's for a chick on the side of the road that looks like she has a flat tire, the men that want to save the women, the damsel in distress, can put themselves in a world of hurt. Saving a kid can put themselves in a world of hurt, in a world of kidnapping, a world of human trafficking. I'll tell you, so many people play on the sympathies of others. So many people know the victims, know the people who are tender hearts, that don't have discernment. And people get taken advantage of all the time. Oh, they do. I see it on my Facebook. Someone says, oh my God, I gave money to someone that didn't need help. And she felt like she was taken. Yeah, because you're such a tender heart. You want to go save somebody on Facebook. And so that article was being circulated all over the place. And so I copied and pasted a comment that someone said, sounds like they used that kid to lure people and then they were hiding off to the side. And so human trafficking is a thing. And human trafficking people, they need people. Everybody is a commodity. Women could be used for indentured servitude and sexual slavery, and men could be used for hard labor overseas. So don't ever take your surroundings for granted. Not everybody that looks like they need help needs help. Okay? So when again, you see these damsels in distress or these men in distress, or all like all over Facebook, oh, here, give to my Cash App, give to my GoFundMe, do all this stuff for me because I'm suffering. Give money to this cause, march for the cure. That's people taking advantage of tender hearts. I don't play that game anymore. I don't. I played that for a while, but not anymore. I don't try to be a good Samaritan by myself, if at all. You either open yourself up to a lawsuit or someone's hiding in the bushes or you get catfish. Remember how I thought Jessica Ramirez way back when was someone that could represent the J world because she had her cancer cured, allegedly. And remember how she just snowed all of us with all of her Facebook lives or her videos or her posts. And then I ended up, she said she was going to come over here and to meet me over here in Ohio. And so I ended up going to that hotel to meet in the lobby. And she never showed up. And she kept showing her different, her travels as she ended up over here and over here. But then she got turned around and she never showed up. That was my tender heart believing. I was trusting that this person was on the up and up, that she needed help, and she found the relief from the J juice, Oh, I was taken. Oh, I was taken astronomically. Okay? I learned my fucking lesson right there. The world is not what it seems. People are not what they seem. People are strategic to get what they fucking need, whether it's social capital, attention, or money from someone who's a tender heart. Oh, I was a tender. I'm not saying I'm hard-hearted, but I give help to people in a very different way where I don't get fucked in the end. And that's right now where people who don't know any better, they get fucked in the end. And so I don't try to be a good Samaritan by myself, if at all. You either open yourself up to a lawsuit or someone's hiding in the bushes or you get catfished, right? The world is not a nice place right now. It's a dangerous place for tender hearts because people will get taken advantage of. And people do get taken advantage of and then end up missing and you'll never find them again or you find them in pieces. And thank God that girl ended up going home. I don't know if they released her or what. But if you have to feel good in saving someone, maybe you need to save yourself. Those that need to feel good in saving somebody else, maybe you need to save yourself. All right? Or else you're addicted to the dopamine release of being a good person. Because somebody will take advantage of your good nature and you may not survive what they take from you. And predators can detect people who feel the need to save people. And they will take you for everything you have. And they do. Look all over Facebook. Look at all the activist groups. They're keeping people so locked in activism and so locked in their politics, so locked in their religion, their science dogmas. These people are not taking care of themselves. They're not looking within. They're always out there blaming somebody. And so then the saviors are going to, so now here, hold on. So the world is not the same. No matter what, never do anything by yourself. Call the police. Now you see why I'm not a savior anymore. Oh, I'm not. It's very dangerous to trying to save something or somebody. The saviors are going to need saving, and no one's going to be there for them because you can't save people who don't know how to take care of themselves. So take care of yourself. But again, that is like the solution in the problem. It's like you want to take everything back. You want, how to say this? You want to find the solution to the problem? Go to the origination of the problem. That's you. Go to the origination of the problem. Go back to the medical system and tell them to help you get your life back. If you see yourself deteriorating rapidly, it's time that you go back to the medical system and ask them for your life back and give them something to work with. Because they'll think that giving you a surgery, a pill, a powder, a supplement, a detox, they think that giving you an operation is saving your life. No, it's causing more trauma to you. It is causing you harm. Getting surgery, whether you feel it or not, just because you're under anesthesia doesn't mean that you aren't having trauma done to you. That is harmful to you. Getting a surgery is harmful to you. Getting any injection where someone's impaling you with some needle is doing harm to you. Why do we need those therapies? Because they have caused the deficiencies in people. They have developed the problem, and they have the solution that is still causing more problems. And so you hold those doctors and nurses accountable by not demonizing them, but asking them for your fucking life back. And show them the Hippocratic Oath. Do no harm. And a surgery, an injection, and a therapy, and an antibiotic, and an herbal, and an extract, and a tincture, and curing something is doing harm to an evolutionary sentient being. If you don't see that as harmful, and you think getting a surgery is something that's not harmful, you think taking an antibiotic is not harmful, then you are the reason why you're suffering. You are the reason why so many people are suffering, because you have no idea what harm is. You let somebody else dictate and tell you the meaning of what harm is, the meaning of love, the meaning of pain, the meaning of everything. You have been programmed, completely fucking programmed. And so now you either take your own life back or you ask the system to take away your life. And how do you take your life back? You ask the system to give back your life, because most of you are too afraid to do it on your own. Most of you are too afraid to do it on your own. So you're going to need to help with somebody because they helped you get this deficient. They're going to have to help you get your life back and get your family back. Some of you are too far gone, others you are not. But hey, you have now a chance to get your life back. But you got to take it back to the source. That is the medical system and you. All right, bye.